أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم على نبينا وسيدنا أبا القاسم محمد وآله الطاهرين وعجل الله تعالى فرجهم الشريف واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين آمين يا رب العالمين. A certain person who operates himself as a Sayyid and a PhD holder whose Aqidah is not known, what he stands for is obscure. So this is actually going to be a response. It's not a discussion room. This is only going to be to respond to an article that appeared a few days ago, written by somebody who calls himself a Sayyid and a doctor. I will pin the article not for the sake of giving it publicity, but for the sake of refuting every detail, every word, if possible, that is found in this article. Usually, he writes. Usually, they on this website, they actually have other articles they have actually written. Of course, on their channel, I believe their YouTube channel, they have some other, honestly, like very useless presentations, lectures, which I consider to be complete waste of time if anyone, would actually, listen to them. Complete waste of time. They don't have any substance, and they are basically, I don't know if they are confused or they actually want to confuse people, especially lay people. But I actually took interest in responding to this article because of the subject. It has to do with the Hadith of the 12 Caliphs, which is found in the Sunni books. So if you check the link that has been pinned from the so-called al-islah.org, I don't know what Islah they are doing. Maybe they are doing Islah like Aisha went to Jamal to make Islah, and then she ended up killing thousands of Muslims. I don't know if this is the kind of Islah that they actually intend to do. But anyway, the article is written by someone who calls himself a Sayyid. His name is Ali Hurr Kamanpuri. In Arabic, these are aqlamun ma'jura. They're actually hired pens. Because if you actually read the article, you will see that it's actually baseless and there's actually no substance. But because of because the subject is very crucial, I believe we should actually refute. We should give a response. We should debunk whatever claims he has actually made on this hadith of the 12 caliphs. The title of the article is "How Authentic is the Hadith of the 12 Caliphs after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam?" I will, read everything so that no one will accuse me of misquoting or taking him out of context. Otherwise, if it's just about refuting the points that he actually if it's just responding to the points he made, I think he made about 4 or 5 main points. I can just use maybe 2 minutes, just refute everything and give my evidence, and within 2 minutes it's over, maybe 5 minutes at most. But for the sake of those who may have doubts, or so that I wouldn't be accused of taking his statement out of context, I will buy an article and I'll respond point by point. In some places I will respond with evidence, and in some places I will give counter arguments. That is what I will actually do. So I will start by reading the article. So he said, it has become common to cite the famous 12 Caliph / ruler hadith found in Sunni sources as evidence that bolsters and strengthens the 12 Imami belief that imama or imamate after Prophet Muhammad ﷺ runs in 12 imams from his family. However, what many fail to realize is that the Sunni version of this hadith has several features associated with it, which make it unhelpful to the 12 Imami Shia case for a number of very obvious reasons, which we shall endeavor to point out during the course of this discussion. Now, whether or not the hadith actually bolsters or strengthens the 12 Imami belief that after the Prophet there are 12 imams from his family, this is not our claim. As I go on, I will show how Ibn Taymiyyah in one of his books, in Minhaj al-Sunnah, Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned, he said, whenever a Jewish person will become a Muslim, he will always end up becoming a Rafidi Shia who believes in 12 imams. This is according to Ibn Taymiyyah. Now, maybe he was testifying about his own time, or maybe the times before him in the past. But this is the claim of Ibn Taymiyyah. This is the statement of Ibn Taymiyyah. So for the fact that the 12 Caliph hadith actually strengthens our faith or our belief, this is not what we only say. This is what even our opponent has said. Said based on the hadith of the 12 Caliphs, whenever a Jewish person becomes a Muslim, he ends up becoming a Rafidi, 12 a Shi'i. This is what Ibn Taymiyyah said. Of course, I will give that reference later on because it is related to another point. He, saying that what many fail to realize is that the Sunni version of this hadith has several features associated with it, which make it unhelpful to the 12 Imam Shia case for a number of very obvious reasons. Now, these features, we would like to see them, we would like to examine them, and let's see if they actually stand the test, and if they can actually be used as proof or evidence against us. As we read on, we'll see what these features are, and of course, I will definitely explain or refute them where need be. He said, firstly, this alleged hadith is known to have only mysteriously surfaced in the Umayyad period within proto-Sunni hadith circles. Now, this is not an alleged hadith. We are not making an allegation here. This is a hadith that is actually found in Sunni books. It's found in Ismaili's text. It's found in Zaidi text. It's found in Shia text in its different forms, wordings, and phrases. So it's not alleged. It's not an allegation. It's a hadith. It is found. He said there is no trace or reliable evidence of it having been recognized as a valid or authentic hadith by any of the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt or the Shia prior to the occultation. He also said earlier, he said, this hadith mysteriously surfaced in the Umayyad period within proto-Sunni hadith circles. Now, I really don't understand what's the meaning of mysteriously surfaced in the Umayyad period. Like, when exactly do you expect the hadith to actually appear? Is it like in the time of Abu Bakr? Is it in the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab? When Umar ibn al-Khattab, for example, was beating people for narrating the hadith of Rasulullah? Or do we expect the hadith to actually surface in the time of Abu Bakr when he was born in the hadith of Rasulullah? Like, what exactly, what's the meaning of this statement? It's mysteriously surfaced. It was in the time of Banu Umayyah that first, the hadiths were recorded, they were penned. It was in the time of Banu Umayyah when hadiths, yes, they were also fabricated to support the Banu Umayyah. But does this, necessarily discredit the hadith? No, it doesn't. He said there is no trace or reliable evidence of it having been recognized as a valid or authentic hadith by any of the Imams. First of all, the Imams don't need to recognize or validate hadith of the Sunnis. The essence of us following the Imams is because Rasulullah left us with the book of Allah and his progeny. If they are going to rely on the authorities of the Sunni hadith, then what's the essence of having the Kitab and the Atra? Like, this is another, baseless argument. But for you to say that, before the occultation, the Imams didn't mention that there will be 12, or the total number of the Imams are 12, this is a lie. This is not a true claim. This is a lie, and therefore, he's actually mixing what is found in Shia books about 12 Imams and the hadith of the 12 Caliphs that is found in Sunni books, and saying, the Imams didn't validate what the Sunnis have narrated. He's conflating issues, and therefore, this is a baseless argument, because in the end of the day, there are many things that the Sunnis narrated that the Imams did not touch upon or did not comment. But if they actually also narrated in our own books, we will accept them. They may be found in Sunni books and they are found in Shia books, but the Imams didn't pay attention to what is narrated by the Sunnis. If it is true, we already have it in our books, and if it is false, the Imams already touch on things that are not correct in our books without even specifically referencing any particular specific hadith or narrators. He goes on to say, said there is thus no objectively authentic Shia chain of transmission for it to any of the Imams or to the Prophet, as one would expect such a hadith that is so crucial for the Shia to be. Its primary transmitter, to whom it can be reliably traced back in the works of Ahlul Sunnah, is Jabir bin Samurah, who is known for his pro-Umayyad proclivities. Now, the thing is, how would you find a Shi'i chain of transmission for a Sunni hadith? Like, this is a contradiction. How would you find a Shi'i chain of transmission for a Sunni hadith? This doesn't make sense. So you cannot find a Shia chain for a Sunni hadith. Like, it doesn't make sense. But for you to say we don't have hadith about 12 Imams in our, no, this is false. This is not true. So we do have our own. But I'm not going to go into the Shia books and the Shia hadith. We are talking specifically here, and we're focusing on the 12 Caliph hadith or 12 Caliphs hadith in the Sunni books. So that's where we should have focus. We should have focus on this, not distract ourselves. What is found in Ismaili text, in Zaidi text, in Shia 12 text. No, we're talking here. This article is majorly, it's about the Sunni hadith, so we'll focus on it. He said its primary transmitter, to whom it can be reliably traced back in the works of Ahlul Sunnah, was Jabir bin Samurah, who is known for his pro-Umayyad proclivities. Now, who said Jabir is the primary transmitter? Well, because you're biased. Maybe you have your prejudice. Maybe because Bukhari and Muslim, they narrated from Jabir instead of narrating from other people. So I'm not supposed, to accept this claim either. He goes on to say, this alleged hadith is also khabar wahid, or khabar al-wahid, meaning that it is entirely solitary in transmission due to the fact that no one claimed to directly hear such a narration from the Prophet besides him. To worsen matters, those who narrate from him are Shamis from the Levant and stand accused of being Nawasib, that is the people who religiously hated the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Now, 3 or 2 points here. To say it is khabar wahid, this is either a lie or this is complete ignorance. Why do I say this? Because it's not khabar wahid. I will give you the other references where this hadith is actually found. Okay? I will remove the link of the article so I can pin the hadith from other books and other narrators. This is from Musnad Ahmad, volume 4. If you go to page 28, the hadith starts from there. The last hadith, hadith number 3781. Now, if you check the title of the book, Musnad Ahmad, there is in between the title and the name of the author, there is the name of the muhakkik, the commentator, the hadith commentator, Ahmad Shakir. This book was investigated, or the commentator was Ahmad Shakir, this version of Musnad Ahmad. So in the footnote, the commentator commented on this hadith, 3781. He said, Isnaduhu sahih. So Ahmad Shakir, he said, this hadith, it is what? It is sahih. That's all that I need. Okay? So we read the hadith. حدثنا حسن بن موسى حدثنا حماد بن زيد عن المجالد. Page 29, عن الشعبي عن مسروق. قال كنا جلوسا عند عبد الله بن مسعود وهو يقرئنا القرآن فقال له رجل يا أبا عبد الرحمن هل سألتم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كم يملك هذه الأمة من خليفة؟ فقال عبد الله بن مسعود ما سألني عنها أحد منذ قدمت العراق قبلك. ثم قال نعم ولقد سألنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال 12 كعدة نقباء بني إسرائيل. So Masruq said, we are sitting with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and he was reading the Quran. So a man said to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, O father of Abdul Rahman, did you ask Rasulullah how many caliphs this ummah will have? So look at the question. The question is specific. This man wants to know the number of caliphs that the ummah will have. Very specific question. Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, since I came to Iraq, nobody asked me about this. Then he said, yes, indeed, we asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and Rasulullah said, 12 كعدة نقباء بني إسرائيل. So Rasulullah said, there will be 12. There will be 12, like the number of the chieftains of Banu Israel. Rasulullah gave an answer. Now, to back up this hadith, Ahmad Shakir, he said, this is sahih, right? Well, let's go to Fath al-Bari of Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. I will pin the link. This is Fath al-Bari of Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, volume 13, page 202. If you scroll down, there's a place where he said, من حديث ابن مسعود بسند حسن أنه سئل كم يملك هذه الأمة من خليفة فقال سألنا عنها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقال 12 كعدة نقباء بني إسرائيل. So Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he considers this hadith to be Hasan. He considers this hadith to be Hasan. Ahmad Shakir, he said Sahih. Okay, this is the authentication. Then we go to another reference from Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba. This is Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba, volume 6, page 363. Hadith number 32,053. حدثنا أبو أسامة قال ثنى هشام عن محمد بن سيرين عن عقبة بن أويس السدوسي عن عبد الله بن عمر قال يكون في هذه الأمة 12 خليفة. Narrated Abu Usama, narrated Hisham, from Muhammad bin Sirin, from Uqba bin Sadusi, from Uqba bin Uwais as-Sadusi, that Abdullah bin Amr said there will be 12 caliphs for this ummah. Now, you have to pay attention to something here. The wording that the author of the article used, he said, the alleged hadith, is also Khabar al-Wahid, meaning that it is entirely solitary in transmission due to the fact that no one claimed to directly hear such a narration from the Prophet. Now, this statement is false. In this particular hadith from from Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba, Abdullah bin Umar, he said, without saying Rasulullah said that there will be 12 caliphs. So this is Abdullah bin Umar that is making this declaration. But in the hadith that was earlier on given from Ibn Mas'ud in Musnad Ahmad, Ibn Mas'ud said, وَلَقَدْ سَأَلْنَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ or Rasulullah said, we asked the Messenger of Allah. فَقَالَ إِثْنَا عَشَرٍ. So Rasulullah said 12. So Ibn Mas'ud, he is directly reporting the statement of the Prophet. So the author of the article lied, that no one directly heard it from Rasulullah or transmitted it from Rasulullah. This is a false statement. In the case of the hadith of Amr in the Musannaf of Ibn Abi Shayba, yes, he was stating that there will be 12. And then, of course, he went on to say, Abu Bakr, you got his name right, and Umar, and then he mentioned Osman. Of course, this is the opinion of Abdullah bin Umar. We are not bound to accept this. But what he's stating, that there will be 12, this is knowledge from the unseen. This is knowledge about the future. And he wouldn't have actually mentioned this if he did not hear this statement from the Prophet, at least, since, by Sunni standards, he's a Sahabi. Right? Since he's a Sahabi. Anyway, I will give you another Sahabi who actually mentioned this hadith. This is from Al-Mustadrak ala Sahihain of Al-Hakim, volume 3, page 716, hadith number 6589. حدثنا علي بن عيسى أنبأنا أحمد بن نجدة القرشي ثنى سعيد بن منصور ثنى يونس بن أبي يعفور عن عون بن أبي جحيفة عن أبيه قال كنت مع عمي عند النبي فقال لا يزال أمر أمتي صالحا حتى يمضي 12 خليفة ثم قال كلمة وخفض بها صوته فقلت لعمي وكان أمامي ما قال يا عم قال يا بني كلهم من قريش. So this hadith is from Aun bin Abi Juhayfa, from his father Abi Juhayfa. He said, I was with my uncle at the Prophet's place. The Prophet said, this affair will continue, the affair of my nation will continue to be upright for as long as there has been 12, or for as long as there are 12 caliphs. Then he said a word in a low voice that I did not hear. Okay? فَقَالَ كَلِمَةً وَخَفَضَ بِهَا صَوْتَهُ. So he said a word in a low voice, meaning he did not hear. فَقُلْتُ لِعَمِّي وَكَانَ أَمَامِي مَا قَالَ يَا عَمْ. So he asked his uncle, what did he say? His uncle said, the Prophet said, all of them will be from Quraysh. Now, he's claiming that this is an Umayyad fabrication. What of you? Ibn Abi Juhayfa was not pro-Banu Umayyah. He was not. So another argument that goes down the drain. Now, his claim that the hadith is solitary or khabar wahid or ahad, this is destroyed. You have 3 other companions who narrated this hadith. We can argue for it being mutawatir. Abdullah bin Mas'ud was in Iraq. Jabir bin Samurra was a pro-Umayyad, possibly in Sham. Abdullah bin Amr, he was perhaps in Medina. You have Ibn Abi Juhayfa perhaps in Medina. We can argue for the tawatur of this hadith by Sunni standards. So how can this person claim that it's actually khabar ahad? It doesn't make sense. Then he said, on top of that, Jabir is believed to have been hardly 6 or 7 years old when he supposedly heard this hadith. Now, even if somebody is 5 or even 2, now I don't need to go into the argument. Like this is a senseless statement, especially when by Sunni standards, a Sahabi could have heard a certain hadith from another Sahabi, and all of them are udul. They take all their hadith. So even if he was 6 or 7, it doesn't matter. But I can even go ahead and make the argument and say, oh, you know what? When I was 2.5 years old, I can actually remember certain events in my life. And I can also ask people, what event do you remember when you were a kid and at what age? Some people might give you maybe at 3 or 4. So this is not an argument, to be honest. Then he said, closer examination of the text, context, and background surrounding the emergence of this hadith reveals that it was most likely fabricated to prop up the Umayyad rulers and justify their unjust rule at a time when they faced growing public resentment and political crisis. This is also speculative. This is speculative because if Banu Umayyah were facing resentment and they relied on this hadith to prop up their rule, instead of fabricating a hadith about 12 caliphs, they could have fabricated a hadith about 50 caliphs, 100 caliphs. Why 12? Now, if you tell me, well, this hadith was not fabricated, but perhaps maybe Banu Umayyah used it or abused it to their advantage, it's a possibility. In other words, they applied it or interpreted it to suit them. It's possible. But when you're having 3 other, or you're having a total of 4 different companions narrating this hadith, and you want to make the claim that it was fabricated, this is not actually, it's not something that you can believe or anyone can believe. And it's a reliable hadith by Sunni standards. And it appears, in very early books, like for example, the Musnad of Abi Dawood, At-Tayalisi. This person actually was born in the time of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. And so this hadith actually existed before Imam al-Rida alayhi salam in the Sunni books. Then he goes on to say, he said, the latest critical Sunni hadith scholarship also indicated that this hadith is most likely fabricated and inauthentic. Now this claim here, it sounds as if, hadith science is actually updated, or, it's like fashion. I don't know. Latest critical, mashallah. New discovery. If you check the footnote, he went on to say this has been confirmed by the foremost and preeminent Sunni hadith critic and Rijal expert in our contemporary time, Al-Sayyid, Al-Allama, Al-Sharif, Ad-Dab, Mahmud Al-Husayni, mashallah. Allama, Sharif, Sayyid, mashallah. This guy is distributing titles for people. Now this so-called Allama, this Sayyid or Sharif or whatever his name is, if you check the footnote, there is a YouTube link to a video where this person, he appears with Ahmad al-Katib in a video. And I don't know if it was an interview or, two old men, having a discussion. This is no, critical, latest Sunni hadith scholarship. Two old men who are perhaps fed up of their lives. They were having a chit chat on YouTube, and this guy is giving us a link, and he's exaggerating. And the only argument this person actually made was that Jabir was a 6 or 7 year old. He didn't say it's fabricated or inauthentic. He said he was 6 or 7 year old, and I've already touched on this issue about his age. And by Sunni standard, this Allama, whatever, Ad-Dab Mahmud al-Husayni, he is appearing on this particular discussion with Ahmad al-Katib. He was talking and denying the belief in the concept of the Mahdi. So by Sunni standard, if you reject the concept of the Mahdi or the belief in the Mahdi, the Sunni Mahdi, who according to them will be born in the future, if you actually reject this, you are a zindiq. So this Kamanpuri, he's appealing to somebody who by Sunni standard, he's a zindiq. He's denying or challenging the belief in Mahdawiyya, along with, a Shia zindiq, and former Shia zindiq, Ahmad al-Katib, who also doesn't believe in the concept of the Mahdi. So you have two zindiq, two zanadika who are actually having a discussion. They deny the concept of the Mahdi, and this guy is labeling him as, the foremost and preeminent Sunni hadith critic and Rijali expert. Then he also said critical Sunni hadith scholarship has also indicated. I don't think Sunnis take this, your Allama, your Sayyid, Sharif, your Adab, or Adab, I don't know what his name is, Mahmud al-Husayni. I don't think Sunnis take him seriously. He goes on to say, he said, however, interestingly, the 12 Imami sources also preserve for us very compelling evidence that convincingly demonstrates that this alleged hadith was never recognized as a valid or authentic hadith by any of the Imams from the 12 Uzaydi line, nor did the early Shia or Imamiyya ever think that it could be referring to their Imams. Most likely because they could clearly see that its text had been doctored to prop up the authority and rule of the Banu Umayyah and not that of any Imams from the Ahlul Bayt. Now, again, how can 12 sources actually prove that this is actually fabricated? This is actually, it's a point of contradiction here. He already mentioned that this hadith does not appear in Sunni books, according to him, or Sunni sources, or Shia, it doesn't appear in Shia sources. So there is nothing. Then he said, well, you know what, the Shias have something that contradicts the hadith and proves it to be a fabrication. Let's assume, the Shias have something that proves it to be a fabrication. And of course, this is not the case, because as we read on, you will see that he's actually making some false claims. Well, let's assume, the Shias have some hadith that, that are inconsistent with this 12 Caliphs hadith. How does this prove that the Sunni hadith was fabricated? So anytime the Shias have a hadith that is inconsistent with Sunni narrations, it implies directly that the Sunni narration must be fabricated? Not necessarily, not in all cases. Logically speaking, it doesn't necessitate. What if, for example, the Sunnis have a line of 12 Caliphs that they follow? And of course they don't. And because they don't, this actually adds to the strength of our position. Well, anyway, let's read on. This is a heading. He said, proof from 12 sources that the 12 Caliph ruler hadith is fabricated. MashaAllah. Let's see. A very simple yet remarkably compelling proof that the 12 Caliph hadith was not recognized as an authentic prophetic hadith among the early Shia prior to the occultation, and that it was never understood to be a reference to the 12 Imams, which the 12 Imams later came to believe in until after the occultation, is found in the reports which deal with the emergence of the Waqifa Imami Shia sect after the demise of the 7th Imam from the 12th line of Imams, Musa bin Ja'far al-Kadhim alayhi salam. Before we look at how these reports lead us to this conclusion, it will be instructive to shed some light on who the Waqifa were and what their primary claim was, so that we may be able to better appreciate how their case serves as such compelling evidence of the falsity of this hadith. Now, a point that we need to clarify to this ignorant person who calls himself a Sayyid and who calls himself a doctor. Something to clarify. He makes the claim, he said, the 12 Caliph hadith was not recognized as an authentic prophetic hadith among the early Shia prior to the occultation. Now, this is a huge claim. Why? Because how well circulated was this Sunni hadith? The writing of Sunni hadith, the compilation of Sunni hadith came later. It came very late after the Prophet. So how well circulated was this hadith that the Shias actually, their attention was drawn to it? We are the Shias, studying Sunni hadith. And on what basis were the Shia actually expected to believe in this hadith, even if they had come across it? A Shi'i who was living in the time of Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam was not expected to believe, let's say, in the imamah of Imam al-Jawad. If you're living in the time as a Shi'i, in the time of Imam al-Kadhim, no one will task you with believing in the imamah of Imam al-Hadi or Imam al-Askari. Your taklif as a Shi'i is to believe in the imam of your time so you don't die the death of Jahiliyyah. If you believe in the imam of your time, that's all that is required or expected of you in order to gain salvation. If you don't believe in the future imams or you don't know them, you're not expected to. This is not your taklif. So for him to actually make it a point of notice that, well, the Shias prior to the occultation didn't have knowledge of this hadith. Again, this doesn't matter. What matters is, do we in our own books have narrations about 12 imams? The answer is yes. So even if we do not have exactly this Sunni report from certain Sahabas, whose guidance we don't follow anyway, because we believe the prophetic knowledge and the religious knowledge should be taken from the imams of the Ahlul Bayt and not the Sahaba. At least not as a primary reference. So pay attention to what even people actually believe in or knew, when our faith is actually based on the wordings on the statements of the imams, not on what people said or they did or what they believed or what they knew or what they did not know. Then another heading, historical background for the emergence of the Waqifa sect. He said the Waqifa were an Imami Shia subsect who broke away from the rest of the Shia al-Imamiyya after the demise of the 7th Imam, Musa bin Ja'far al-Kadhim alayhi salam, in the year 180 AH. This breakaway sect was actually founded by the top financial agents and representatives of the 7th Imam alayhi salam, who were also some of the most learned and knowledgeable companions of the previous Imam, Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, who passed away in 148 AH. It was most likely due to their vast knowledge and status as long-time disciples of the 6th Imam alayhi salam that the 7th Imam alayhi salam handpicked them and appointed them as his representatives and trustees to oversee and administer the funds that the Shia will routinely contribute to the office of the Imamah in order to enable it to function properly and provide support to the poor Shia families. However, by the time of the 7th Imam's death, these agents and representatives had amassed so much wealth and had received such huge amounts of funds from the Shia in the name of the 7th Imam alayhi salam that they couldn't bear the thought of relinquishing control over them and handing them over to the next Imam, Ali bin Musa al-Rida alayhi salam. However, since Imam al-Rida alayhi salam was not facing any imprisonment or threat from the state at the time, he saw no need for this agent to administer and manage these funds on his behalf. Rather, he sought to have them surrendered to him so that he could dispose of them as he saw fit in his capacity as the successor of his father. To avoid having to hand over these massive funds to Imam Rida alayhi salam, the financial agents and representatives of his father resorted firstly to denying the death of Imam al-Kadhim, since they figured that such a denial was the best means of ensuring that they retain control of his office and enabling them to continue their work of collecting funds in his name as they had been doing in his lifetime. However, this was thwarted by Imam Rida's move of collecting eyewitness testimonies affirming the death, funeral, and burial of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam and sending them over to these agents as proof that he had definitely died and that they could therefore no longer continue to serve as his agents and representatives within the community. When they found themselves cornered, the agents argued that even if it could be proven that Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam had died, he had issued them no instruction about transferring any funds to Imam al-Rida, and thus they were under no legal or moral obligation to do so. They thus rejected his authority and refused to accept him as an Imam. Tayyib. Now, talking about hand-picked representatives, hand-picked agents who were collecting the tax from the Shias. Now, the Prophet ﷺ, he had a tax collector in the person of Malik ibn Nuwayra, who was appointed by the Prophet. And according to the Sunni narrative, Malik ibn Nuwayra alayhi salam, he became an apostate and he was killed under the Caliphate of Abu Bakr by Khalid ibn al-Walid. So this is a tax collector of Rasulullah who was actually killed by other Sahaba. So you have a Sahabi, a one-time Sahabi, who became an apostate, and he was a tax collector. He refused to give the zakat to the Caliphate of Abu Bakr. So this is not unique to the Shia, if you want to use this as an argument. Okay? Then he goes on to say, he said, instead, they came up with the claim that the 7th Imam, that's Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, was the last and final Imam. Now, Kamanpuri has lied over here, or he's a jahil. He doesn't know. The Waqifah, they did not believe Imam al-Qazim alayhi salam was the last and final Imam. Now, if you want to say the Waqifah believed, or they claimed Imam al-Qadhim alayhi salam did not die, yes. You want to say the Waqifah, they claimed Imam al-Qadhim was the Mahdi who will fill the earth with justice and he has gone into Ghaiba, yes. But for you to say the Waqifiyah, they actually believed that Imam al-Qadhim was the final or the last Imam, this is not true. This is not correct. And I will show this. I will show what the Waqifah they actually believed in from the text they actually wrote or they compiled. He went on to say, he said, instead they came up with the claim that the seventh Imam was the last and final Imam, of course, which I said is not true, and that he was the Qa'im and the Mahdi who will emerge at the end of the time to establish justice in the world after it will be overcome with injustice and oppression, because they stopped at the seventh Imam, ended the imamate at him. No, this is not true. They did not end the imamate at him. And he goes on to say, and they refused to acknowledge any further Imams from the Ahlul Bayt. Yeah, they refused to acknowledge his son until, his father comes. This was the position. Like the father hadn't died. You're not an Imam. They don't recognize the Imamah of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam because they don't believe the Imamah of Imam al-Qazim had actually come to an end. They stopped with him. They are waiting for him to come back, according to them, and refused to acknowledge any further Imams after him. They came to be known as the Waqifah or the Waqifiyah from the Arabic word waqf, which literally means to stop, to pause, to halt. Tayyib. Now, the word Qa'im, the one who rises or who stands, all the Imams in our narrations, you can find certain narrations, the Imams, they are every Imam in his own time, he was the Qa'im. Now, if they had interpreted that they had a narration from Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam, that's if we are to give them, benefit of the doubt that they were not outright corrupt embezzlers who actually wanted to embezzle the Khums money, and there's actually no religious, justification for what they are claiming. But if we are, for argument's sake, we want to give them some benefit of the doubt. Each Imam in his time is the Qa'im, but the Qa'im al-Mahdi, the Qa'im who will actually rise to spread justice and equity on the earth, he is the Mahdi. And we believe he's the 12th Imam, alayhi salam. The Waqifah, they say, well, since they've heard a hadith that the Qa'im after as-Sadiq, alayhi salam, is Imam Musa al-Kazim, okay? They've heard this. So he's the Qa'im, and therefore he must be the Mahdi, the Qa'im al-Mahdi. Not just the Qa'im, the Imam of his own time, the standing Imam of his time. But did they actually believe that Imam Musa al-Kazim was the last Imam? The answer is no. I will show you why I say the answer is no. I will pin for you a link from Kitab al-Ghaiba of Sheikh al-Tusi. This is Kitab al-Ghaiba of Sheikh Muhammad bin al-Hasan al-Tusi. Okay, if you go, this is the chapter. The chapter heading, this is book 1, chapter 11, chapter heading, evidence of the imamate of Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam and refutation of Waqifiyya. Hadith number 1. If you go to the last sentence of this hadith, he said, thirdly, with all these explanations, all their reports can be interpreted and justified in other ways. We will quote some of them from Fi Nusratul Waqifah of Abu Muhammad Ali Ahmad Alawi Musawi and explain his discussions. So Sheikh al-Tusi, he's quoting a book written by Abu Muhammad Ali Ahmad Alawi Musawi. The book is called Fi Nusratul Waqifah, in support or in defense of the Waqifah. So he's quoting from this book. All their arguments, all the reports are from this book. So you see hadith number 2, 3, 4, he's quoting and he's responding in the footnote. Okay, now when you go down, okay, just a moment. When you go down to hadith number 21, you scroll down, he quoted a hadith from Fi Nusrat al-Waqifah. He quoted a hadith from the book of the Waqifiyya. What does this hadith say? Narrated to me, Muhammad bin Ata al-Darqama from Khalad al-Lu'lu'i, that narrated to me Sa'id Makki, who was a close confidant of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, that the Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, O Sa'id, the Imams are 12. When 6 of them pass away, Allah the Mighty and the High will give ease to the 7th of them, and 5 persons from us Ahlul Bayt will be Imams, and through the 6th the sun will rise from the west. So the Waqifah, they have a book, Fi Nusratul Waqifah, they mentioned this hadith, as stated by Sheikh al-Tusi, that they mentioned this hadith from Imam al-Sadiq, that the Imams are 12. That when 6 of them pass away, Allah will give ease to the 7th, and then there will be 5. And the 6th, that's after the 6th Imam, he will be the Mahdi, making a number of 12 Imams. Why will he be the Mahdi? Because the sun will rise from the west. That's after him, the world will come to an end. Even in the Sunni narrations, La yazal hada ad-din qa'iman. The religion will continue to stand, till Qiyamah, with 12 Imams. In other words, the span of their rulership or their time is till Qiyamah. Even in the Sunni books, this actually supports the concept of Ghaiba. Now, in this hadith of the Waqifiyah, it shows that the Waqifah, they believed in six Imams, and then the seventh, Allah will give him is. According to them, he's the Mahdi. Then after him, what happens? There will be five. So no, the Waqifah, they did not believe in just 7 Imams. They were not seveners. And you know what? Sheikh al-Tusi responded in the footnote. He said, that's the explanation for this hadith. This report clarifies that the Imams are 12 in number. And that which is mentioned after that is the explanation which the narrator has mentioned according to the Ismailiyah creed. Subhanallah. So this is like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. In other words, one of the narrators is an Ismaili. Yani even the Ismailis in that time, they believed Ismail did not die. He's gone into ghaiba. So this is proof that even among the proto-Ismailis, you find somebody who reported this. The Waqifah, they are using this Ismaili report to support their own position. The Ismaili is holding that, Ismail has gone into ghaiba, Allah is giving him is, then after him there will be 5, making a total of 12. This is evidence that even the proto-Ismailis believed in 12 Imams. The Waqifah used this narration by the Ismaili to support their claim, to say, you know what, Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, he was the Imam, he's gone into ghaiba. Now, from a Shi'i perspective, like when I was reading earlier on the statement from the opening hadith under this chapter from Sheikh al-Tusi, the statement of Sheikh al-Tusi, he said, there is nothing, that we cannot justify or interpret the hadith that the Waqifiyah have given. Why? Because Allah will give him is, will give the 7th is. In the case of Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, he was imprisoned, he was released, then he was imprisoned. And in the time of Imam Musa al-Kazim, Tashayyu' grew. Yani the Shias became many in number. Shi'ism spread. They had a lot of power. The Shias had power. They had money. Imam al-Kazim was rich. If you compare among the Imams, you can say he was the richest Imam. And you see, the Waqifah collected so much khums, they did not want to pass it to Imam Rida alayhi salam. So for this Kamanpuri, the author of the article, for him to claim that the Waqifah, they didn't know about the hadith of the 12 Imams. No, Mr. Kamanpuri. You're either a big compound jahil or you're lying. You think we don't know what we're talking about, or we don't know our beliefs. You're either a compound jahil or you're actually a crook. Okay? So this is to prove. Of course, look, in the first instance, the entire article is destroyed. Once we have proven that his claim has fallen flat, that the hadith about 12 Caliphs in Sunni books, this is not hadith ahad, as he claims, that the hadith is ahad, is solitary. It's a single narrator hadith. We disproved that. We brought the hadith of Ibn Abi Juhayfa, Ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah bin Umar, 4 other narrators from reliable Sunni books, from primary Sunni books. We at that point, I am supposed to end this and say, you know what, this guy is not serious. He's given us, fake statements or false claims. I'm supposed to end it there because that's a lie. But we are going along with him, and we are seeing another lie. Said the Waqifah, the Waqifah didn't know about 12 Imams. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stopped at Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. No, the Waqifah, they knew about 12 Imams. From this hadith that Sheikh al-Tusi actually quoted from their book, which is known as Fi Nusrat al-Waqifah. Now, you cannot, be so much of, a Sherlock Holmes for you to tell me, Sheikh al-Tusi actually concocted a hadith which he attributed to an Ismaili narrator, which he attributed to a Waqifi book, and then he quotes the hadith in order to defend 12 belief. He's not going to do that. They accuse Sheikh al-Tusi of falsification, Sheikh al-Saduq of falsification, Sheikh al-Mufid, Ibn Babawayh al-Qummi, all our scholars, all our early scholars. This must have been a grand conspiracy in order to fabricate a concept about 12 Imams by different people. What kind of force existed in the minds of this great scholars for them to, at different times, different places, for them to actually, each of them, fabricating and concocting hadith. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Sheikh al-Tusi is quoting from the book of the Waqifah, who are using a hadith by an Ismaili narrator, mentioning the concept of 12 Imams. Your argument is destroyed, Mr. Kamanpuri. We have destroyed your argument, we have destroyed the Waqifiyah, and we have destroyed the Ismailiyah. It's 1 stone for 3 birds. Three, 1 for 3. This is what this hadith has done. We move ahead in the article. He said that their motive for forming this rival subsect was purely financial and pecuniary in nature. That is, they were motivated to deny the death of the 7th Imam and seal the institution of Imamah. No, they did not seal the institution of Imamah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I was actually making that claim about the hadith that is found in the book of Al-Ghaibah of Sheikh al-Tusi. So, later on I returned to the article before I cut out. So he mentioned that about the motive of the Waqifah, not believing that Imam al-Rida was the Imam and all that. So he kept, insisting that the they believe that the Imamah ends with Imam al-Kadhim. Of course, we've proven that's not correct. So the next heading, he said, how early anti-Waqifite refutation proved the falsity of the 12 Caliph Hadith and demonstrate that Shia's never thought of it as being indicative of the 12 Imams. He said, when Imam Rida assumed the responsibilities of his father, his first, biggest, and most significant challenge was to refute the false claim of the Waqifiyah, as he could clearly see that they were abusing the trust reposed in them by his father, misappropriating and embezzling funds collected in his name, and spreading their false claim through propaganda and buying people out, not to mention establishing a deviant sect around a false belief that Imam al-Kadhim had not died, that he was the Qa'im and the Mahdi, and that he was the last and final Imam from the Ahlul Bayt, and that he had gone into occultation and would appear shortly before the end of time to establish the government of justice and eradicate all injustice and oppression from the world. So here, he's still saying that, they stopped at Imam al-Kadhim. No, they did not stop. We've proven that. Now, if he's saying that, well, they actually formed a false belief, he's discrediting the Waqifah. That, they believed Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, despite the evidence that was actually available to them, they denied Imam al-Kadhim had passed away. So he's actually discrediting the Waqifah as people who actually concocted a false belief. And he also accused them, the author of this article, of misappropriating and embezzling funds, collected in the name of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. Then he goes on to say, had the Prophet really said anything to the effect of there being 12 Imams for the Muslims in the future, and had this been well known and widely disseminated as an authentic and reliable hadith in Muslim, particularly Shia circles of hadith, the Waqifah would have not dared to claim that the imamate had ended at the 7th Imam, because they will know that their claim will be untenable and unacceptable due to it being in direct contradiction with such a well-established, widely recognized and mass-transmitted prophetic hadith. But supposing they somehow forgot about it in their rush to come up with a seemingly valid pretext for rejecting the leadership of Imam Rida, it is inconceivable that Imam Rida and his supporters would fail to deploy such a hadith against the Waqifites, especially given how powerful, effective, and useful it would have been in undermining and wiping out their deviant claim, that is, that the 7th Imam was the last Imam from the Ahlul Bayt, right from its very foundation, and nipping it in the bud. So you see, he's making so many assumptions under a false claim that the Waqifah actually believed Imam Musa al-Kazim was the last Imam. No, the Waqifah did not. The Waqifah did not believe Imam Musa al-Kazim was the last Imam. The Waqifah believed he was the Mahdi. They believed he did not die. And there will be, when he reappears as the Mahdi and he spreads justice on the earth and he fills the earth with justice, there will be another 5 Imams after him. And the last of them is through him, after him the sun will rise from the west. This is what this hadith from Kitab al-Ghaiba proves, which Sheikh al-Tusi is quoting from the book of the Waqifah, which is known as Fi Nusrat al-Waqifah. So he has made, a completely false position in regards to the Waqifah, that they believed Imam al-Kadhim was the last Imam. And now he's building argument on a false claim, which we have disproven. Anyway, let's go on. He said, yet there is not a shred of evidence. Well, let's, on another thought, let's assume that this argument he's making, he's actually, let's say, for argument's sake, there is no evidence to indicate that the Waqifah believed in 12 Imams. That is, Imam al-Kadhim was the 7th and he was the Mahdi, and after him there will be 5. Let's assume that this evidence I gave from Kitab al-Ghaiba of Sheikh al-Tusi, let's assume that it doesn't exist. Let's assume that the Waqifah actually, they believed in 7 Imams, that Imam al-Kadhim was the last. After he accused them of lying about the death of Imam Musa al-Kazim, after accusing them of misappropriating funds and embezzlement, are we going to take them as authorities? The Christians, with all, the prophecies that we have in the Bible, we Muslims point to that these prophecies are actually about the Prophet Muhammad. The Christians don't accept. So are we going to say, oh, well, because the Christians don't accept prophecies in the Bible or the Prophet Muhammad, so, these prophecies don't exist? Well, in the mind of a Christian, yeah, it doesn't exist. And this is the same thing the Waqifah did, if we had to take this hadith from Kitab al-Ghaiba into consideration. The hadith exists. They knew there were 12 Imams. But they still said, they applied Mahdawiyah to Imam al-Kadhim, denied his death, and say he is gone into Ghaiba, and when he comes back, he will establish justice, and after him there will be 5. So anyway, let's move on. So yet, there is not a shred of evidence in any early and reliable 12 Zaidi or Sunni pre-occultation source to indicate that Imam Rida or any of his supporters ever cited the 12 Caliph or any of its variants in order to discredit and disprove the claim of the Waqifites that there were only 7 Imams from the Ahlul Bayt, and that Imamah ended at the 7th from among them, and that he was the last and final Imam. Again, Ya Habibi, Ya Ibn al-Halal, the Waqifites did not believe in 7 Imams. The claim here was not about them believing in 7 Imams. Yani Imam Ali Rida alayhi salam, his challenge was not proven to them 12 Imams. His challenge was proven to them that Imam al-Kadhim died. He's not going to come back as the Mahdi, and then after him there are going to be 5 Imams. So the claim that Imam Ali Rida was to disprove was not that there are actually no 7 Imams, there are 12. It's not about 12 and 7. It's about proving that Imam al-Kadhim had passed away, and he's not the Mahdi, and he's not coming back. Because in the end of the day, the Waqifa, again, I will keep repeating because he's making a false claim and he's making so many arguments on it. The Waqifa believed in 12, and then after the 6th, the 7th goes into Ghaiba, then after the 7th comes back, there will be 5, making a total of 12. So the Waqifa did not deny the concept of 12. So you see, one false claim, he designed it, and he's making so many arguments, building so many arguments on a, on a very non-existent foundation. I can't even call it a shaky foundation. It's not a shaky foundation. Then, he goes on to say, so surely if any version of the 12 hadith, 12 Caliph hadith had been truly a prophetic statement, and if it had been understood by the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt or any of the early pre-occultation Shias to be a reference to the 12 Imams, which the 12 of later time settled on, then surely the emergence of the Waqifa subsect was the perfect time and opportunity to draw attention to and promote this 12 Caliph or 12 ruler hadith. Again, Habibi, the Waqifa did not deny the 12 Caliph hadith. They had it in their book, that there will be 6 Imams, and then the 7th will be the Mahdi, and after him there will be 5. So it's not a question of 7 or 12. But you're lying, or you're a jahil, you're an ignorant person. Then he goes on again. He said, had this 12 Caliph hadith been true, and had it been actually a reference to the 12 Imams, he's still, building on the assumption that the Waqifa did not believe in 12. The same donkey, this guy is a donkey. Wallah, is a donkey. Had this, he thinks, he's actually, he's reinventing the wheel. Look, very easy. This hadith from Kitab al-Ghaiba disproves him. The Waqifa believed there will be another 5 after Imam Musa al-Kazim comes from Ghaiba, according to them. Fine, we go on. He said, had this 12 Caliph hadith been true, and had it been actually a reference to the 12 Imams, which the 12 was later settled on, Imam al-Rida, or at least someone from among his close disciples and supporters, would have drawn attention to it in order to convince the Waqifi of the falsity and mendacity of their claim that Imamate had ended at the 7th Imam. Habibi, they don't believe it ended. They believe the 7th did not die. He will come back. They didn't believe he died. They didn't believe he's the last. They believe he's the Mahdi. He did not die. He's going to come back. Some of them said after 6 months. And when they made that claim, actually, Imam Rida and his companions, the Shias used that argument against the Waqifa, because they were actually waqatun. They were timing. They were timers. They were given time for when Imam Musa al-Kazim will return from Ghaiba. So again, this same false claim that they believed the Imamah ended at 7. No, they did not believe it ended at 7. You're actually making this up. Then he goes on to say, this alleged prophetic hadith will be brandished by everyone from Imam Rida and those Shia who were loyal and beholden to him, in order to demonstrate that the Waqifite claim of there being only 7 Imams necessarily had to be false, because the Prophet clearly said there will be 12 Imams and even gave their names, as some other fabricated narrations claim. Habibi, they did not believe it ended at 7. They simply believed the 7th will be the Mahdi, he will go into Ghaiba, he will come back, and then there will be 5 after him, and then at the 12th, the world will come to an end. This is what the Waqifa believed. And this can be seen from their book. This can be seen from their hadith, which is narrated from an Ismaili. And Ismaili applies it on Ismail. The Waqifi takes it and say he applies it on Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam. This is why I say, we are killing 3 birds with one stone. We are destroying Kamanpuri, we are destroying the Waqifis, and the Ismaili claim. All 3 claims. We go on. Another heading. Again, on the same false premise, on the same, foundationless argument, he's making another heading. Why the taqiyya card does not work here? Habibi, there's no taqiyya. Who is talking about taqiyya? He said, it cannot be argued that the Imam alayhi salam and his Shia refrained from citing the 12 Caliph hadith against the Waqifites due to taqiyya. Because this hadith was being transmitted in proto-Sunni and Sunni circles of hadith, so there was no need to observe taqiyya with regard to a hadith that was already been transmitted in Sunni circles of hadith, and it was also, transmitted in Waqifi book, fi Nusrat al-Waqifa. Did you know that, Kamanpuri? You didn't know. Also, the 12 Caliph ruler hadith does not name them by name, so merely referring to it and pointing out how it demolishes the claim of the Waqifites. No, the Waqifites don't claim that. You're attributing that claim is attributed to them. They don't believe it. Imam Musa al-Kazim was the last. Assuming the 12 Caliphs is a reference to the Habibi, this is just a waste of time. A false premise. He's making so many arguments. Anyway, I move to the second heading. To the next heading, rather. He said, why the 12 Caliph hadith in Sunni sources does not favor the 12 Imam Shia case. MashaAllah, let's see. He said, a key reason why Imam Rida alayhi salam and his supporters from among the Shia would have not used the 12 Caliph, he didn't need to. He keeps on, going with this same argument. Then he said, Imam Rida and his Shia would have known that this alleged hadith was an Umayyad fabrication due to it, that's the 12 Caliph hadith, due to it emphasizing 2 aspects, which only a fabricator with a pro-Umayyad bias will seek to promote. Namely, number 1, that these 12 rulers will actually rule over the Ummah, unlike the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt, who didn't get to rule the Ummah, with the exception of Imam Ali and Imam al-Hasan alayhim salam. And 2, stressing that they will all be from Quraysh, which will be completely counterproductive. So, Imam Rida would have known, these things. So that's why he didn't cite the 12 ruler caliphs. That, the Imams, they have to rule. They will rule over the Ummah. But the Imams of the Shias, only Imam Ali and Imam al-Hasan were ruling. And the next point, stressing that they will all be from Quraysh. Anyway, let me stop at quoting the first point. Let me treat this point. The issue that the Imams, alayhim salam, they will rule the Ummah. Okay? Now, there is this version of this particular hadith, I will pin it. Okay, this wording exists here. It's quoted by Albani. This is from durar.net. If you check this hadith, the hadith originally is from Abi Dawud, Sahih Abi Dawud. Okay, the narrator is Jabir bin Samurrah. The muhaddith is Albani. The masdar, the source of the hadith, is Sahih Abi Dawud. Okay, the hadith: لا يزال هذا الدين قائما حتى يكون عليكم 12 خليفة. This religion will continue to be standing until there had been over you 12 caliphs. كلهم تجتمع عليه الأمة. All of them, the ummah, will agree on them. فسمعت كلاما من النبي لم أفهمه. قلت لأبي ما يقول؟ قال كلهم من قريش. So the first part of the hadith: لا يزال هذا الدين قائما. This religion will continue to be upright, or will continue to stand. Okay, this is the first part. Until there had been, to you, the second statement, until there had been 12 caliphs. كلهم, then there is here an addition, the third statement. كلهم تجتمع الأمة أو تجتمع عليه الأمة. That all of them, the ummah will have ijma' on them. All of them, there is ijma' on them. Now, first of all, let's look at the grading. Albani, he said, خلاصة حكم المحدث, the grading of the muhaddith, the grading of Albani. He said, صحيح. Okay, then he added, وقد حكم الشيخ الألباني على لفظة. Then he passed a ruling upon a version or a statement, the third statement. كلهم تجتمع عليه الأمة. That all of them, the ummah will agree on them. What did Albani say about this? كلهم تجتمع عليه الأمة بالنكارة. He said this hadith is munkar. He rejects this as munkar. So what does it mean, munkar? It means this is a wrong addition. He doesn't accept it. Albani rejects this as an addition that is to be rejected. So this Kamanpuri, he's using this version of the hadith to actually say, oh, you know what? He's making, he's now a storyteller. Said, well, Imam Ali Rida alayhi salam, he would have known, that this hadith, it has certain features. Initially in the beginning of the article, he mentioned the features of the hadith. But because of this, these features, he knows, Imam Rida knows, that this hadith is not applicable to him. He's a storyteller. Now, even this addition that he's, making a case on, this so-called PhD holder, he's so ignorant. It doesn't take more than 1 minute. It doesn't take more than 1 minute for you to discover the statement. Wallah, it did not take me more than 1 or 2 minutes for me to find the position of Albani on this interpolation. And to make things worse, guess what? I will show you another version of the hadith from Tabarani. Now, this is not the statement of a scholar. This is a hadith in the Sunni books that is completely opposite. Look at this. This is Al-Mu'jam al-Kabir of Tabarani, volume 2, page 160. Hadith number 1794. حدثنا إبراهيم بن هاشم البغوي ثنى محمد بن عبد الرحمن العلاف حدثنا محمد بن سواء حدثنا سعيد عن قتادة عن الشعبي عن جابر بن سمرة قال كنت مع أبي عند النبي. Okay, from Jabir. He said he was with his father at the Prophet's place. The Prophet said, يكون لهذه الأمة 12 قيما لا يضرهم من خذلهم. Look at the wording that he heard the Prophet say. This ummah will have 12 upright rulers, and those who betray them will not affect them. So this is in contradiction to the hadith that this so-called doctor is actually using to say, oh, well, this is not applicable to the Shia imams, because the Shia imams, there was no ijma' on them. They did not rule on the ummah. Now look at this hadith. The imams of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, it will not affect. It will not affect. They don't care whether you accept them or you don't accept them. But let's even, we can also make an argument, even on the Sunni Caliphs. Abu Bakr, did he have the ijma' of the ummah? Was there ijma' over Abu Bakr? Habibi, Abu Bakr was fighting people so that he will force them to pay zakat to him. Imam Ali did not give bay'ah, at least according to Bukhari, for 6 months. Sa'ad bin Ubadah, the jinn, that, the one who the jinn killed, he didn't give bay'ah to Abu Bakr. Where's the ijma'? When people appointed Umar ibn al-Khattab, they came to Abu Bakr and they said, this is a harsh man you're imposing upon the ummah. They complained about Umar ibn al-Khattab. They rejected him. Where's the ijma'? When Osman was chosen by 6 men imposed by Umar, where is the ijma'? 6 men decided for an ummah. Where's the ijma'? Imam Ali alayhi salam, where is the ijma' over Imam Ali? Aisha rebelled. Muawiyah rebelled. The Khawarij rebelled. Where is the ijma' over Muawiyah? Where is the ijma' over Yazid? Where is the ijma' over Abdullah bin Zubair? Hey, none of your caliphs came, at least your major caliphs, the first 7, none of them had ijma', at least. Where's the ijma'? So we can use the same argument even on the Sunni. Of course, I consider this Kamanpuri fake Sayyid, this fake Sayyid to be, I think he's a Sunni, he's a Wahhabi anyway. He's most likely bankrolled by Wahhabis. That's why you have to treat him as a Wahhabi. Now, let's even go further. Let's see the statement of Ibn Taymiyyah on this issue. Okay? On this issue, what is the position of Ibn Taymiyyah? Just a moment. Let me get the links of Ibn Taymiyyah and what Ibn Taymiyyah stated. I will pin this. This is the book of Ibn Taymiyyah, Minhaj as-Sunnah, volume 4, page 108. He is explaining the verse of the Holy Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ. Surah As-Sajdah, verse 24. That we made for them imams who guide by our commands when they were patient and they were guided by our signs. Then he mentioned also Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 124. وَقَدْ قَالَ تَعَالَى إِنِّي جَعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. The verse of Imamah. Look what he said about Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibn Taymiyyah. He said, وَلَمْ يَكُنْ ذَلِكَ بِأَنْ جَعَلَهُ ذَا سَيْفٍ يُقَاتِلْ. That this does not mean that Allah appointing Ibrahim alayhi salam as an imam, that Ibrahim alayhi salam was the owner of a sword, was possessing a sword that he was fighting, يُقَاتِلْ بِهِ جَمِيعِ النَّاسِ. He was fighting the people. بَلْ جَعَلَهُ بِحَيْثُ يَجِبُ عَلَى النَّاسِ اتِّبَاعُهُ. But Allah has made him in such a way that it is mandatory for the people to obey him. سَوَاءٌ أَطَاعُوهُ أَمْ عَصَوْهُ. Whether they obeyed him or they disobeyed him, Ibrahim was the imam. It doesn't matter. The obedience of the people do not matter. فَهَؤُلَاءِ فِي الْإِمَامَةِ فِي الدِّينِ أُسْوَةٌ أَمْثَالُهُم. فأهل السنة مقرون بإمامة هؤلاء فيما دلت الشريعة على ائتمام بهم فيه. He's arguing in favor of the imamah of Ibrahim. So Ibrahim did not possess a sword fighting the people, imposing his authority over them. But Allah has made him an imam. But you know what? To see the nasab and to see the nifaq. You know Ibn Taymiyyah contradicted himself. He contradicted himself. When he's actually dealing about the 12 caliphs who are actually mentioned in the Tawrat, or the 12 rulers, the 12 great men, however you want to put it, which are mentioned in the book of Genesis, that Allah will make a great nation for Ismail alayhi salam, the son of Prophet Ibrahim, and he will raise from his progeny 12 great men, 12 rulers. When he's mentioning this, Ibn Taymiyyah, do you know what he said? Check this link. This is Minhaj as-Sunnah, volume 8, page 241. He said, وَهَؤُلَاءِ الْإِثْنَى عَشَرْ خَلِيفَةً هُمُ الْمَذْكُورُونَ فِي التَّوْرَاتِ. So this 12 khulafa, this 12 caliphs, which of course he's using the 12 caliphs of the Sunni Hadith, these are the ones that are found in the Tawrat. حيث قال في بشارته بإسماعيل, when the good news was given to Ismail, وسيلد 12 عظيما, that he will beget 12 great men. Then guess what? How Ibn Taymiyyah contradicts himself. He said, ومن ظن أن هؤلاء الاثنى عشر هم الذين تعتقد الرافضة بإمامتهم فهو في غاية الجهل. He said, whoever claims that these 12 great men, they are the ones that the Rafida believe in, he is at the peak of ignorance. فإن هؤلاء ليس فيهم من كان له سيف إلا علي بن أبي طالب. Said, among these 12, the 12 imams of the Shia, there is none of them who had a sword except Ali bin Abi Talib. How do you contradict yourself, Mr. Ibn Taymiyyah? You just upheld and established the imamah of Ibrahim alayhi salam and said it doesn't mean that Ibrahim was a possessor of a sword. How did the sword become a factor in distinguishing who is an imam and who is not an imam? You see the nasab? Look how he goes on to condemn Imam Ali alayhi salam. He said, فَإِنَّ هَؤُلَاء لَيْسَ فِيهِمْ مَنْ كَانَ لَهُ سَيْفٌ إِلَّا عَلِي بِنْ أَبِي طَالِبٍ عليه السلام. ومع هذا فلم يتمكن في خلافته من غزو الكفار. So even though Imam Ali had a sword, he had authority, he was not able to conquer the kuffar. ولا فتح مدينة, and he was not able to open a city. ولا قتل كافرا, and he didn't kill a kafir. بل كان المسلمون قد اشتغل بعضهم بقتال بعض. So about the Muslims in the time of Imam Ali, they were busy killing themselves. حتى طمع فيهم الكفار بالشرق والشام من المشركين وأهل الكتاب. Until the kuffar actually had aspirations over the Muslims in the East and the West. Then he goes on and says, إن بعض الكفار كان يحمل إليه كلام حتى يكف عن المسلمين. So even the kuffar used to, bring words that he should stop killing the Muslims. So فأي عز للإسلام في هذا. So what kind of might for Islam was this? That the religion will be mighty when there are 12 leaders. والسيف يعمل في المسلمين, while the sword is employed on the Muslims. وعدوهم قد طمع فيهم ونال منهم. So he's condemning Imam Ali alayhi salam. Now, we of course don't accept this. We accept the other position of Ibrahim. Even though he didn't have a sword, Ibrahim was the Imam. His obedience was obligatory. And of course, if you go to the Holy Quran, what did Allah speak about might, about Izzah? Sorry, let me just open this verse because I don't have it fully in my head. So this is from Surah Al-Munafiqun. In Surah Al-Munafiqun, this is Surah Al-Munafiqun 63 verse 8. Surah 63 verse 8. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, they say if we return to Medina, the honorable will definitely expel the inferior. يقولون لئن رجعنا إلى المدينة ليخرجن الأعز منها الأذل. أعز, whether they translate into honorable or mighty or powerful, will expel the inferior or the weak. ولله العزة ولرسوله وللمؤمنين ولكن المنافقين لا يعلمون. But all honor and power belongs to Allah, His Messenger, and the believers, yet the hypocrites do not know. Abdullah bin Ubay, he mentioned, when he gets to Medina, he will expel the Prophet and the believers. Then the Muslims were weak. Even in their state of weakness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَكِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. That the might, the honor, the power belongs to Allah and His Messenger and to the believers. And here the mu'mineen, we believe this is in reference to the Imams alayhimus salam. وَلَكِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. The hypocrites do not know. Okay. Then I will take you to the next page in this same Minhaj al-Sunnah, volume 8, page 241. If you go to the next page, maybe Ibn Taymiyyah will see the Izzah. The Izzah. This is page 232. If you go to the last paragraph, he said, وَكَثِيرٌ مِنَ الْيَهُودِ إِذَا أَسْلَمَ يَتَشَيَّعُ لأنه رأى في التوراة ذكر الاثني عشر فظن أن هؤلاء هم أولئك وليس الأمر كذلك بل الاثنى عشر هم الذين ولوا على الأمة من قريش ولاية عامة فكان الإسلام في زمانهم عزيزا وهذا معروف. He said, when many of the Jewish people, when they enter into Islam, they become Shias. When the Jews, they become Muslim, they become Shia. Because they used to find in the Torah, in the book of Genesis, that Allah will raise 12 rulers from the descendants of Ismail. So he will think that, the 12 Imams are those. He said, but no, these are not. Said the 12, they are the ones that had authority in the Ummah from Quraysh. They had general authority. And Islam in their time was strong, and this was known. But at the same time, he was discrediting Imam Ali as not one of the 12. So on what basis does somebody like Ibn Taymiyyah, or the Sunnis generally, how do they determine who are the 12? When Allah, in the state of weakness of the Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Munafiqun verse 8, Allah is saying, وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَكِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. See, he keeps contradicting himself. I will give you one more statement of Ibn Taymiyyah from another book, so that I will respond on this point about the Imams having authority or ruling or worldly power over the Ummah. I will pin this link. This is another book of Ibn Taymiyyah. This is called Dar'u Ta'arud al-Aql wal-Naql, volume 1, page 88. Okay, look at what Ibn Taymiyyah said. He said, so what the Sadiq al-Masduq, as the Prophet says, is proven on its own, whether we know that he has the truth or not. The one that Almighty Allah sends to the people, he is his messenger, whether people know that he is the messenger or not. And what he says is the truth, even if people do not admit him, they do not accept him. And what he orders from Allah, Allah has ordered him to do so, even if people do not obey him. So the proof of divine authority and that the Prophet says the truth and what he orders on its own does not depend on our existence, let alone that it depends on our intellect or the speculation that are the product of our intellect. This is the same as the existence of the Almighty Lord and what has of the attributes which are evident on their own, whether he lets us know or not. So he's saying when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has appointed somebody, it's not dependent on you accepting the person. Whether you accept him or you don't accept him, it's not dependent on your existence or your intellect or your speculation. Allah appoints him, he is a haq, he's haq. This is what Ibn Taymiyyah is saying. Now apply the same thing on the issue of the 12 Imams alayhi salam. So I believe this point has been demonstrated to be very biased, prejudiced when Sunnis make the argument that, well, the 12 Imams did not rule over the Ummah. So I will move on the article to the next point. He said, stressing that they will all be from Quraysh, which will be completely counterproductive to the Shia case, because it would be highly unwise for the Prophet to say that this 12 would be from Quraysh if he had personalities from his immediate progeny in mind. For the simple reason that Quraysh is too broad an umbrella, which encompasses even tribes like Banu Umayyah, as well as the tribes of the first 3 Caliphs, and it will therefore be a dangerously loose and flexible descriptor to say that this 12 Caliphs will be from Quraysh if the Prophet only intended to refer to Imam Ali alayhi salam and the 11 other Imams from the offspring he had with Sayyidah Fatima. For the Prophet to declare that all these Caliphs will be from Quraysh will open the door for everyone from Banu Umayyah, as well as the tribes of the first 3 Caliphs, to lay claim to this prophecy and declare themselves to be Masadiq, deserving the candidacy of this prophecy. Thus, if the Prophet wanted to restrict the Caliphate to Imam Ali and descendants from his progeny, he will never say they will be from Quraysh, as that will be too broad a description and will allow too many false pretenders to claim it for themselves, including corrupt rulers from Banu Umayyah, as they will also come under Quraysh. It wouldn't even be sufficient to say they will be from Banu Hashim, as that will open the door for the Banu Abbas to stake a claim to it, as they are also from Banu Hashim by the virtue of being the descendants of Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will have to be more specific in that hadith and use a descriptor that will seal the door for any false pretenders to the Caliphate. Even if the Prophet said that they would all be descendants of Sayyidah Fatima, that will still leave the door open for Zaydi claimants to imamate from among the descendants of Imam al-Hasan and al-Hussein, which will be unhelpful. So he goes on, of course, but let me stop at this point. Now, apparently this man, he wants to teach the Prophet how to speak. He wants to teach the Prophet how to speak. He said, if the Prophet says they are from Quraysh, the 12 Caliphs, then Abu Bakr was Qurayshi, Umar, Osman, the rulers of Banu Umayyah. If he says they are from Banu Hashim, of course there's a version in Kanz al-Ummal. Of course, Sunnis will reject it. There's a version of this hadith about the 12 Caliphs where the Prophet said all of them will be from Banu Hashim. So the Prophet even specified in this version of the hadith that is attributed to him, said all of them will be from Banu Hashim. But according to this, this person, even this is not enough. Even if Rasulullah said from Banu Hashim, this is not enough. Why? Because Banu Hashim, the uncle of the Prophet, Al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, he was part of Banu Hashim. And the Banu al-Abbas, the Abbasid dynasty, they will be qualified. Then even if he says, they are from the descendants of Fatima alayhi salam, this is also not sufficient. Because the Zaydi Imams, or the Banu al-Hasan, they will lay claim to the Imamah. Tayyib. Now the question will be, did the Prophet, did he specify? I will show you this hadith. This is from Tirmidhi, 3606. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, indeed, Allah chose Kinana from the children of Ismail, and he chose Quraysh from Kinana, and he chose Banu Hashim from Quraysh, and he chose me from Banu Hashim. So going by the logic of this, or the illogic of this person, Rasulullah has narrowed it, that the 12 must be from Banu Hashim. But now, according to him, even if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says they are from Banu Fatima alayhi salam, they are from the children of Fatima alayhi salam, this will still leave room for speculation. Why? Because among the Banu Fatima alayhi salam, the children of Imam al-Hasan they claimed, some of them rose up to claim Khilafah. Okay, so fine. So go ahead, Mr. Doctor, go ahead and count for me 12 Caliphs from the line of Imam al-Hasan. We don't need much, we don't need much argument. Go ahead, count for us 12 Caliphs from Banu al-Hasan. You can't. You want to tell me Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya, Kaysaniya? Go ahead, count for me 12. You can't. Yani today in our life, in our present world, the truth cannot be clearer. You want to tell me Ismailis? Habibi, they are still counting 49 Imam. They are at 49. Allah knows when it's going to end. We still don't. 49. If you ask them who is the name the next 10 Imams, the Al-Khan should name them. They will not do it. Name 12 from Banu Ismail, from the descendant of Ismail, from the Prophet. Do it. The Ismailis. Earlier on, I presented the Hadith from Kitab al-Ghaiba of Shaykh al-Tusi. The Ismaili narrator narrated the Hadith about 12 Caliphs. That the seventh, Allah, will make him the Mahdi, and then there will be 5 from his offspring. Did Ismailis, did they follow that? Waqifiyya, did they follow that? No, it's not. If you want to make it so speculative and so open, go ahead, count for us. Either 12 from Banu al-Abbas, there were more than 12. From Banu Umayyah, there were more than 12. Banu Umayyah alone, there were 14. And if you add the previous caliphs, you add Imam Ali, you add Umar ibn al-Khattab, you add Abu Bakr, and even some will add Imam al-Hasan. You will end up with you will end up with 18. Osman is Banu Umayyah. So, where is the answer? We want to know the 12. When Rasulullah is mentioning 12, this is his restricting the number of caliphs to 12. This is what he was doing. He wasn't mentioning 12 to mean 50. He said 12, it means 12. Anyway, we move on. So even if the Prophet said, okay, I think I've read that, said the 12 claim is so narrow that perhaps nothing short of naming the actual 12 Imams will favor their case. Habibi, you have the number. Rasulullah has narrowed it down. It's not us that narrowed it. Rasulullah narrowed it to 12. He has made it easy for you. Go count 12 from any lineage you want if you can. So and the hadith of the 12 caliphs in Sunni sources is a very far cry away. Wallah, you're an idiot. It is therefore is of no use to the 12 Shia case. Well, of no use. I just quoted Ibn Taymiyyah mentioning that when a Jewish person becomes a Shi'i or becomes a Muslim, he always ends up becoming a Shi'i because of the hadith of the 12, which he sees in his Tawrat, that this must be them as a prophecy. And the fact that they resorted to appropriating it to bolster their claim during the Asr al-Hayra and began after the demise of Imam al-Askari indicate how utterly desperate the 12 Imamiyya of that period really were, and how they were prepared to clutch at straws to uphold their claim, even if it meant misappropriating the sectarian pro-Umayyad fabrications of their rival. And now he's blabbing. It is therefore abundantly clear that the fabricator behind the 12 has no sympathy for the Ahlul. It doesn't matter. Sympathy, no sympathy. This is actually evidence for us. And you call in fabricator. Who is exactly the fabricator? Is it Abdullah ibn Mas'ud? Is it Jabir ibn Samura? Is it Samura or Samura, whatever his name is or was? Is it Abdullah ibn Umar? Who exactly? Ibn Abi Juhayfa? Who was the fabricator? Mustadrak ala Sahihain, Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba, Musnad Abi Dawud al-Tayalisi, one of the oldest Sunni books written in the time of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Like, who exactly is this guy referring to? Now he's blabbing. Of course, he's just repeating his point. Then, for this reason, we have concluded that this hadith, while definitely fabricated, is not a Shia or even Imami fabrication, but rather a pro. Okay, I think we're done with that. Then another heading. He said Imam Rida's refutation of the Waqifite, the final death blow to not just the Waqifite creed, but also the 12 claim of occult imamate. Now, this title is very strong. He said the final death blow to not just the Waqifite creed, but also the 12 claim of occult. Now, Wallah, I'm not boasting, I'm not exaggerating. This is the final death blow to this creature who calls himself a doctor. This very, 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 very slow, imbecilic person who calls himself a Sayyid, and he calls himself a doctor. We don't know if he is a Zaidi, we don't know if he's a Wahhabi, we don't know what he is. He has formed a madhab on himself. He uses, interpolations and weak narrations, like, the hadith that Albani weakens, which I demonstrated earlier. He uses a weak narration when he likes, and he throws away, and he weakens the strong. He's playing with the hadith of the Muslims, and he thinks, he's making sense. So he's a hired pen, and this is the reason, I call him a hired pen, or the hired pen. Anyway, he says further, he said Imam Rida did issue a historic and powerful statement refuting key assertions of the Waqifites. But what's really interesting and remarkable, or remarkably striking about his refutation of them, is that it not only logically destroys and rationally dismantles the Waqifite claim, but that it also ends up severely undermining nay, destroying and dismantling the whole foundation of all future occultation, based claims about hidden imams who are miraculously kept alive until the day of judgment to serve as God's hujjah on earth, including the current day 12th narrative about the birth, longevity, and continued occultation of the 12th Imam, Muhammad bin al-Hasan al-Askari, Ajalallah ta'ala farajahu sharif. Okay, so let's see, what exactly Imam Rida alayhi salam said, that this person, he's so excited, that Imam Rida has destroyed everything. Yeah, wallah, very, very scary, we should be scared. Imam Rida has destroyed the premise for occultation. Let's see what he has to say. He's quoting a hadith. This hadith is from Rijal al-Kishi. Okay? In Arabic, it says, Muhammad bin al-Hasan al-Barathi قال حدثني أبو علي قال حدثني يعقوب بن يزيد عن محمد بن أبي عمير إلا ما رويت لك ولكن حدثني ابن أبي عمير عن رجل من أصحابنا قال قلت للردى جعلت فداك قوم قد وقفوا على أبيك يزعمون أنه لم يمت قال كذبوا وهم كفار بما أنزل الله عز وجل على محمد صلى الله عليه وآله ولو كان الله يمد في أجل أحد من بني آدم لحاجة الخلق إليه لمد الله في أجل رسول الله. Just a moment. So, the translation for this hadith. Now, I read the Arabic because he mistranslated the hadith into English. Okay, he mistranslated the hadith into English. Now, first of all, if I want to, just do away with this hadith, I can simply say this hadith is weak. It is mursal. It's disconnected. And I can just kill the hadith going by the chain. But since, he's using this to build, a pile of rubbish arguments, we are going to indulge him, and let's see, his claims. We'll touch on the hadith, on the content of the hadith, and let's see his translation first of all. He said, Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Barathi said, Abu Ali narrated to me and said, Yaqub bin Yazid narrated to me from Muhammad bin Abi Umair, except that has been narrated to you. However, Ibn Abi Umair narrated to me from a man from among our companions. We don't know who this man was. Who said, I said to Ar-Rida, peace be upon him, may I be your ransom? There are people who claim that your father did not die. He said, the Imam replied saying, they have lied, and they are disbelievers in what Allah Almighty has revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi. If Allah were to extend the life of anyone from among the Bani Adam, the children of Adam, that is human beings, in brackets, due to the need of the creation towards him, he would have extended the life of the messenger of Allah, that's the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. As I said, if I want to throw this narration away, I can easily, discredit it, discard it, and say, well, it's mursal, it's disconnected. But no, since, he's clutching at this straw, we will indulge him. And we will see if this narration, it actually disproves the concept of ghaiba. Or actually, this man, he either has a problem understanding Arabic, or he's just a chronic, habitual liar, who thinks, he can actually confuse the Shia, or he can actually, discredit or shake our beliefs by lying. This is just lying. Why am I saying it's lying? Number one, the statement that is actually enlightened, or highlighted, sorry, not highlighted, sorry. If Allah were to extend the life of anyone from among the Banu Adam, due to the need of the creation towards him, he would have extended the life of the Messenger of Allah. Now, this statement itself, if we are going to take this translation the way it is, it's actually denying Allah extending the lives of the children of Adam. Okay? So, this narration will contradict the Holy Quran. So, for example, if you go to Surah Al-Ankabut, Surah number 29, verse 14, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ فَلَبِثَ فِيهِمْ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ إِلَّا 50 عَامًا فَأَخَذَهُمُ الطُّوفَانُ وَهُمْ ظَالِمُونَ. Indeed, we sent Nuh, Prophet Noah alayhi salam, to his people, and he remained among them for 8,000 years, less with 50. That's with 950 years. Then the flood overtook them while they persisted in wrongdoing. So if this hadith, the way we can use another principle that the Ahlul Bayt, the Imams, have given to us, that when a hadith contradicts the Holy Quran, you throw it away. So that any hadith that actually contradicts the Quran, you should discard it. We can say this hadith is not reliable because it's contradicting the word of God. Because from the verse 14 of Surah Al-Ankabut, Allah is saying, Nuh alayhi salam, he lived among his people for 950 years. 950 years. So is he denying this? Is he denying the word of God? So on this basis, if we are to take this translation, we will say what? This hadith is not reliable. Because Allah has extended the life of Nuh alayhi salam. So this argument will fall. Okay? But now, what is the correct translation for this hadith? Okay? The word that is mentioned in Arabic is ajal. Imam Rida alayhi salam is quoted to have said, وَلَوْ كَانَ اللَّهُ يَمُدُّ فِي أَجَلِ أَحَدٍ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمْ لِحَاجَةِ الْخَلْقِ إِلَيْهِ لَمَدَّ اللَّهُ فِي أَجَلِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ في أجل أحد من بني آدم. What is the word ajal? This word ajal, if you do a quick exercise, go to Quran.com, just type in Arabic ajal, alif, jim, lam, ajal. You will see how many places this word ajal appears. For example, in Surah Nuh, يغفر لكم من ذنوبكم ويؤخركم إلى أجل مسمى. And he forgives you from your sins and he delays you to an appointed time. Yani, this ajal, it has to do with your time of expiration, the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has specified for you. Okay? And now, based on both the Shias and the Sunni understanding, Allah can prolong the life of people. Yani, if you do certain good acts, certain good deeds, Allah can prolong your life and delay. Allah, we pray for a long life, don't we? We pray that Allah will give us long life. So here, is it that the word ajal means long life? No, it's the time of death. So if we are to give the correct translation to this hadith, it will be that if Allah were to actually extend the appointed time of death, the ajal, the appointed time of death of anyone from among the Banu Adam, due to the need of the creation towards him, he would have extended the appointed time of death of Rasulullah. It's not the life, it's the appointed time, the death, the point of death, the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has appointed as the time for somebody to die. This is the ajal. And you can see many verses in the Quran that when your ajal comes, it will not be prolonged, it will not be shortened. When your time comes, khalas, you will die. Eventually you die. Allah will specify a time for you. So this ajal, it's talking at the time of death. The Imam is trying to prove that Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, he has died. He has died. Then, point, another answer is from the warden of the Imam. He said, لِحَاجَةِ الْخَلْقِ إِلَيْهِ, out of the need of the creation towards him. Now Rasulullah comes, 23 years, he preaches, he's a messenger of God, he goes. Imam Ali serves his time as an Imam. Imam al-Hasan, Allah has destined all this. Allah has specified the ajal. Now the Imam alayhi salam of the time, Imam Mahdi, so this hadith does not deny the long life of anyone. Not Nuh, not Imam Rida, not Adam. And it doesn't, and this hadith does not actually, it doesn't disprove either. It doesn't disprove the long life of anyone, and it doesn't disprove the ghaiba. Today we have, even according to Sunnis, Isa alayhi salam is alive, Khidr alayhi salam is alive, Idris alive. Therefore, Ilyas alive. So it doesn't disprove the long life of anyone, and it doesn't disprove the occultation. Why? Because the ajal, the appointed time of death for Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, it has not come. Does Imam Mahdi have an ajal? Yes, he has a specified time when he will die. Has it come? No, it hasn't. So this hadith does not prove. The word ajal, it's not disproven. It's not about long life. Okay? Now, there's another statement in the matan of the hadith which shows the Imam worded, on the basis that this hadith was actually spoken by Imam Rida alayhi salam. The Imam worded his hadith carefully. He said, لِحَاجَةِ الْخَلْقِ إِلَيْهِ, out of the need of the creation towards him. The Waqifah that we are holding on to Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salam, that he did not die. He will come back, Imam Rida is telling them, if people have need towards him, that he's not alive, he's dead. His time has come, his specified time has come. If his death were to be postponed, Allah would have postponed the death of Rasulullah. Now the death of Imam Mahdi has not come. He's telling them Imam Musa al-Kadhim had died. But out of need for the creation for him, even though, for example, Rasulullah is superior to the Imams. Yani, it's more befitting, for example, going by our logic, for Rasulullah to still be alive today, instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's say, sending the Imams who inherited the Prophet, his knowledge, and took his place as successors. If going by our logic, Rasulullah, is the most beloved creature of Allah, most beloved to us, we will prefer Rasulullah to still be among us even to this day, physically, not spiritually. So this statement, لحاجة الخلق إليه. Now, the long life of the Imam and the long life of Nuh, alayhim as-salam, is this حاجة الخلق إليه? Or Allah has actually given a task? What is حاجة الخلق إليه? لحاجة الخلق إليه. For the need of the creation towards him. The Imam having a long life, is this حاجة الخلق إليه? Or Allah has destined someone from the progeny of the Prophet who will actually establish the divine government on the earth. This is the will of the divine. This is not the need of the khalq. If you ask many of the khalaiq today, they don't care about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala establishing a divine government. If you ask the tyrants and their supporters, they are pleased with the system that we are having today on the earth. They don't need any imam. They don't need any divine government. They don't need any justice. They are happy with the way things are going. So the presence of the imam, this is not hajat al-khalq ilayh. This is actually the divine decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore his ajal, his specified time of death has not come. The Imam al-Rida, using this statement, if we accept the hadith, is actually talking about the specified time of Imam Musa al-Kadhim, it has come. The specified time of Imam Mahdi will also come. The specified time of his death. So this does not disprove longevity, like he's trying to say. If it actually disproves longevity, then it has actually contradicted the Quran. Because verse 14 from Surah Al-Ankabut informs us that Allah made Nuh alayhi salam to be among his people for 950 years. So if he's using this hadith to argue against longevity and ghaiba, then we will throw it. We'll throw the hadith. We can't say, well, it contradicts the Quran, and the Imams have told us if a hadith contradicts the Quran, you throw the hadith away, and you stand with the Quran. So this is the response to this hadith. And of course, if you read, he like the statement, he claimed about the Waqifah, believing that Imam al-Kadhim was the last Imam, when the Waqifah did not believe that. He built arguments on a fake claim. In the same way, he did for this hadith, very long, argument, which I think it would be futile to actually respond. But there are actually some points, which I will touch on, where, he brought in the issue of the 12th Imam alayhi salam. He said the financial motives of the financial representatives, I'm reading in one of the paragraphs below, he said the financial motives of the financial representatives of the 11th Imam also appear similar to those of the financial representatives of the 7th Imam. It is abundantly clear from the reports about the financial representatives of the 7th Imam, which we had discussed before, that they were motivated to invent a new subsect around the claim that the 7th Imam had gone into occultation, precisely so as to avoid having to acknowledge the leadership and authority of the next Imam in line, Imam Ali al-Rida alayhi salam, because accepting him will mean having to relinquish control over the vast financial resources and funds that they had amassed during the time of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, and facing the prospect of having to surrender all the power, authority, and control to Imam Rida. The financial representatives of the 11th Imam faced the exact same prospect, because there was no apparent son who stepped up to succeed him. His brother, Ja'far, rose to assume control of the office of the imamate. However, acknowledging his imamate will mean having to surrender all control, power, authority, and financial resources to him. And given all that up, something that history teaches us was often the greatest and most scary nightmare for financial representatives of the Imams, as the case of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam only too painfully demonstrates. When faced with such a prospect, the financial representatives of the 7th Imam were so desperate to hold on to their power and control that they felt they would rather found a new deviant rival subsect that will deny the very death of Imam al-Kadhim and claim a miraculously orchestrated occultation for him, rather than surrender power to the natural heir and successor of the deceased Imam. That is his charismatic and noble son, Imam al-Rida. Tayyib. Now, he's trying to compare the case of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam and Imam al-Askari. Now, the Waqifah, they claimed Imam al-Kadhim was the Mahdi and he had gone into ghaiba. Right? Very convenient. When he comes back, we hand him the money, and after him there are 5 Imams. They stopped, they halted with Imam al-Kadhim. Now, let's think about this. The Waqifah, they rejected the son of Imam Musa al-Kadhim. That's Imam Ali al-Rida alayhi salam. Yani Imam Rida alayhi salam, he was openly, physically, not in ghaiba, not hiding anything. Imam Rida was present, and out of greed and financial misappropriation, the Waqifah denied the son of the Imam. They denied him. Imam Hassan al-Askari, the 11th Imam, he passed away. Someone whose goal is to embezzle money. Somebody whose goal is to embezzle money. Why did they have to invent the son for Imam al-Askari? Habibi, the Waqifah, they were looking into the eyes, into the face of Imam al-Rida, and they were not submitting to his authority. And this is a son of Imam Musa al-Kadhim. They didn't deny him. If the Waqifah had the opportunity to deny perhaps that Imam Rida was the son of Imam al-Kadhim, or that he didn't exist, they would have done it conveniently. But of course they can't. They can't deny the reality. So why would somebody who is interested in stealing money from a man, why would he have the need to invent a son for him? Like, I don't understand the connection. I don't understand the need that necessitates that if somebody wants to steal money from the Imam, from the 11th Imam, he has to invent for him a son. This is not logical. I would have expected, this, according to this crook, this illogical crook, the writer Kamanpuri, I would have actually invented him. I would have actually accepted this, line of thinking if our predecessors, they had claimed that Imam al-Askari was the last Imam. Imam al-Askari, like Imam Musa al-Kadhim, he had gone into ghaiba. This will cut any false claimant to the position of Imamah, including Ja'far al-Kadhab, the brother of the Imam. Because if you claim for him a son, okay, if you claim for Imam al-Askari a son, and this son, he's in the minor occultation, he's not physically going to the authorities and say, oh, Banu Abbas, Mr. Caliph, Mr. Judge in the High Court, I am the secret son of Imam al-Askari. These representatives, they have so much money, let them keep the money for me. That is not going to happen. And Ja'far al-Kadhab can easily, deny and say, oh, like he did. So, well, my brother didn't have a son. It ends there. You can't produce the son. So the importance, the necessity of believing in a son of Imam al-Askari has to do with aqidah and clinging on to the true belief than actually doing it out of any financial motives. And also, even if Ja'far al-Kadhab, he claimed imamah, the representatives, whether the representatives of Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam, who had, like, for example, Ali bin Abi Hamza, they had money, the Waqifiyya, or the representative of Imam al-Askari, were they openly, telling the Banu Abbas, the Caliphs of the Sunnis, you know what, we are collecting khums and they are keeping the money in the bank account? Is that what they were doing? Even if Ja'far al-Kadhab claims imamah, they can easily, say, oh, well, we don't believe in your imamah. Imam al-Askari did not die, he's in occultation. Like, what the Waqifis did with Imam al-Kadhim. He didn't die, he's in occultation. Well, how in the first place will Ja'far al-Kadhab know which of the representatives of the Imam had money and how much? Were the representatives of Imam al-Askari telling Ja'far al-Kadhab about the money that they were collecting or what they were holding? No. So really, this connection he's trying to, or this semblance he's trying to strike between the aftermath of Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam and the aftermath of Imam al-Askari alayhi salam, this doesn't hold water. The belief in a son of Imam al-Askari could not have been out of a financial motive. It couldn't. It couldn't. It would have been better if they would have actually said, just like the Waqifis said, that he had gone into occultation. End of story. And then he goes on, he makes a very long statement about. He goes on to bring the statement of al-Bahbudi. Now, the statement of Bahbudi, of course, this one can also be easily refuted, which of course I will do that. Just a moment. Let me just get some references here. So he quotes Bahbudi. I think he's clutching at straws. Like, even the statement of Bahbudi, it wouldn't actually, support him. I will show you why. Let me just open this. I actually have some hadith that Behboudi actually graded as Sahih, which will actually, it will actually prove it's either Behboudi was saying something else and he's been misunderstood. Sorry, please, let me just open this. I'm taking time. Let me find it. I think I got it. Anyway, yeah, I'll continue. And I got what I'm looking for. So, he quoted Behboudi. He said, due to the fact that historical sources of the first 2 centuries after Hijrah are so clear in showing that there existed no concept of 12verism and no anticipation of Imama getting capped at 12 Imams, critical scholarship of 12er, Imami Shia, Hadith, and Rijal regards all narrations which contain any mention of 12 Imams from the progeny of the Prophet as ahistorical fabrications and later interpolations. This can be seen from the admission of the renowned Iranian 12er Imami Shia, Hadith, and Rijal expert Allama Muhammad Baqir al-Bahboudi, who wrote, you have already known by now from the discussion surrounding the aberrations in the system of Imama that all of the ahadith that serve as text for designating the Imams, including the Khabar al-Law, are all fabrications that we have forged during the period of occultation and bewilderment or shortly before. For if this abundant text had been in circulation among the Imami Shia since the beginning, there will not have been such sharp and flagrant disagreement in determining and identifying the pure Imams in each of their periods of imamate. This evidence discord will not have occurred, and the confusion among the top learned authorities of the sect and the experts of Hadith will not have persisted for so many years. They would have had no reason to rush to compile books in such large numbers to prove the occultation and dispel the confusion from the hearts of the community. End of quote. طيب. Now, just a moment. Let me just open this this verse. It's from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Ash-Shura, verse 14, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا تَفَرَّقُوا إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ ولولا كلمة سبقت من ربك إلى أجل مسمى لقضي بينهم وإن الذين أورثوا الكتاب من بعدهم لفي شك منه مريب. They did not split into sects until after knowledge had come to them. Had it not been for a prior decree from your Lord for an appointed term, the matter would have certainly been settled between them at once. And surely those who were made to inherit the scripture after them are truly in alarming doubt about this Quran. Many verses of the Quran, Allah is mentioning إلا من بعد ما جاءهم العلم. This is a reoccurring thing which had come to them. People disagree and they split into sects. So what guarantee do we even have that even if people knew the names of the Imams and all that, they will not still have other motives? The writer himself, he condemned the Waqifah for inventing a false belief, as he states it in the article, that Imam al-Kadhim did not die, that he was the Mahdi. He went into occultation and they wanted to embezzle money, misappropriate funds. So if they did all this, on what grounds is he arguing that having the knowledge would have been a restraining factor for people not to break into groups, into opposition? It's not a guarantor. When you have in the Quran, in many verses, Allah is saying, مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُم. When the knowledge had already come into their hands, they split. They had knowledge. Allah is making this clear. Okay. Then another thing about the statement of Behboudi, he said that, look at the statement he made in Arabic, and they are translating. He said, على أنك قد عرفت في بحث الشذوذ عن نظام الإمامة أن الأحاديث المروية في النصوص على الأئمة جملة من خبر الله وغيرها أو غيره كلها مصنوعة في عهد الغيبة والحيرة وقبلها بقليل. That all this nusus text about the Imams alayhi salam, like Khabar al-Law, Hadith of Allah, that is all the way masnu'a in the time of the Ghaiba and the Hayra, or before it with a little. What's the meaning of masnu'a? What's the meaning of masnu'? Sana, sina'a. I think even Shias who are actually condemning Allama al-Bahboudi or Sheikh al-Bahboudi, I think they might be perhaps they're misunderstanding what he intended to say. It means these narrations, they were produced. He said, كلها مصنوعة في عهد الغيبة والحيرة وقبلها بقليل. All of it were produced. مصنوعة doesn't mean fabricated necessarily. No, it doesn't. Sana, مصنوعة. Said, he translated it as all they were fabricated, all fabrications, or were forged. Are all fabrications that were forged. No. The word fabrication, موضوعة, it's not mentioned here in the Arabic, in the statement of al-Bahbudi. He didn't say كلها موضوعة. He said كلها مصنوعة. They were all produced in the time of the غيبة والحيرة and the حيرة. وقبلها بقليل. And before that time, before the غيبة, a little. So this one proves our case. If these narrations that were produced before the غيبة, then it proves our case. Like for example, if you read in Kamal al-Din wa Tamam al-Ni'mah of Shaykh al-Tusi, when he mentions the statement of Ibn Qibba mentioned in his statement, he said, the Shias, they were already told that the Imam will have 2 ghaibas. But this was mutawatir. The Imams before the 12th, they already, they filled the ears of their Shias about the ghaiba of the 12th. It was already common knowledge that this could not have been something that, fallible people will actually produce, because this is part of the knowledge of the unseen. And therefore, there must be a greater authority who gave them this knowledge. That people, the Shias, already knew, and they were actually longing for that time to come, for them to witness the ghaiba. This is what Ibn Qibba, and he was a Mu'tazili Bakri who became a Shia. And he wasn't born, he wasn't this crook is actually making the argument about financial agents and representatives, making things up for financial gain and all that. Ibn Qibba al-Razi was not a Shia, he wasn't born a Shia. He was a Mu'tazili Sunni. And he became a Shia. So he's telling you, and if you go check all our scholars, they will tell you the ahadith about the ghaibatain, the 2 ghaibas, they were mutawatir even before the occurrence of the ghaiba. So if Shaykh al-Bahbudi is actually saying that this were actually produced, this nusus, the text, were produced in the time of the ghaiba and the hayra, or before it a little, he didn't say anything wrong. When you go on the internet, on the forums of the Nawasib, on the forums of the Sunnis, on the forums of this sort of confused agents of confusion, or so-called reformists, or whatever they call themselves, you have the statement of Bahbudi. Why do you cherry pick one word and you ignore the other part of the statement? Like in the other part of the statement, say وَقَبْلَهَا بِقَلِيلٍ. So before the occurrence, in a little while, these narrations were circulating. Masnu'a doesn't necessarily mean forged. Okay, and to actually then he made the statement, say فلو كانت هذه النصوص متوفرة موجودة عند الشيعة الإمامية لما اختلفوا في معرفة الأئمة الطاهرة هذا الاختلاف الفاضح. Say if all these narrations were present among the masses of the Shias, they wouldn't have really had this disagreement. Now, this is his opinion, because if like somebody like Ja'far al-Kadhab, who wanted to inherit his brother by hook or crook, or somebody like the Waqifis, who wanted just out of greed, financial gain, even if these narrations were present, or the Nas for Imam Rida was present, they would still deny it. They had some illegitimate motives. So this is his opinion. And even if they were not readily available among the masses, this could be a reality. That, the majority of lay people, they didn't have prior knowledge to this. But the close companions of the Imams, they did. So if they did, and they had already produced this before the hayra, before the ghaiba, so the Bahbudi is not really saying anything that is really alarming, that the Shias are attacking him, the Sunnis are capitalizing, the enemies of there's nothing wonderful or fantastic about this. And why am I saying this? To buttress what I'm saying, let me pin this hadith for you. And this is a long hadith. I will pin it, and I will read it, even though it's long, to show you that what they are claiming and attributing to Bahbudi is not what Bahbudi was saying. Okay? Except if they want to understand it in a certain way, which is not fair, I believe. This is my understanding. I don't think if somebody's talking about masnu'a, something that is produced, it's by default, it's fabricated. No, not at all. You can do sana of something that is original. You can produce something that is original. Doesn't mean it must be fabricated. Now look at this hadith. This is from Al-Kafi, volume 1, book 4, chapter 77. The list of the names of those who saw the 12th Imam. Okay, it's a very long hadith. This is Muhammad ibn Abdullah and Muhammad ibn Yahya, all have narrated from Abdullah ibn Ja'far al-Himyari, who has said the following: I and Sheikh Abu Amr, may Allah grant him blessings, met each other before Ahmad ibn Ishaq. Ahmad ibn Ishaq made an eye gesture to me to ask him about the succeeding Imam. I said to him, O Abu Amr, I like to ask you a question about a matter Although I do not have any doubt in question about what I'm about to ask. It is my belief and religion that the earth is not left without a leadership with divine authority, except if it will be just before the coming of the day of judgment by 40 days, because in such a period, leadership with divine authority will be taken away. The door of repentance will be closed. No soul will benefit from the faith with which it has not achieved any good deeds. The believing soul will be of no avail to it unless some good deeds have been done with it, or it has been formed before the coming of such a day. Holy Quran 6:158. Such people will be of the evil creatures of Allah, the most majestic, the most gracious, and it is these people on whom the day of judgment will be established. However, I wanted to strengthen my faith further, just as Ibrahim alayhi salam asked his Lord, the most majestic, the most gracious, to show him how he will bring the dead to life again. He said, when Ibrahim prayed, Lord, show me how you will bring the dead back to life. The Lord said, do you not believe? Abraham replied, I believe, but want more confidence for my heart. 2 Holy Quran, Surah 2, verse 260. Abu Ali Ahmad ibn Ishaq has narrated to me from Abu Hassan, who has said that he asked the Imam, with who should I deal and ask questions about my faith and religion, and whose words should I accept after you? The Imam said to him, Al-Amiri is trustworthy to me. Whatever he will deliver to you is from me. From me he delivers. Whatever he will say is from me. From me he says it. Listen to him and obey him, because he is reliable and trustworthy. Abu Ali has said to me that he asked Abu Muhammad a similar question, and he said to him, Al-Amri and his son are trustworthy people. Whatever they will deliver to you is from me, that they deliver. What they say to you is from me, they say it. Listen to them and obey them, because they are trustworthy and reliable people. These are the words of the Imam spoken about you. Abu Amr fell down on his face in prostration and wept. Then he asked, or he said, ask what you need to ask. He said, Ahmad bin Ishaq said, did you see the succeeding Imam after Abu Muhammad, as after Imam al-Askari? He said, yes, by Allah. His neck was like that, making a gesture with his hand. I then said, one more question is left. He said, say whatever it is. I said, what is his name? He said, it is unlawful for you to ask about it. I do not say this because he left this world, because Abu Muhammad left this world without a surviving son. I do not say this because Abu Muhammad left this world without a surviving son. That's to the Sultan. That's what is mentioned, I believe, in the Arabic. They didn't translate even this well on thaqalain.net. So in the Arabic, he said, فَإِنَّ الْأَمْرَ عِنْدَ السُّلْطَانِ أَنَّ أَبَا مُحَمَّدٍ مَضَى وَلَمْ يُخَلِّفْ وَلَدًا. He said, I cannot give you the name of the son, because to the Sultan, to the authority, Aba Muhammad, Imam al-Askari, he passed away without leaving a son. In the English, they did not translate this well on thaqalain.net. Anyway, he said, I do not say this because Abu Muhammad left this world without a surviving son. That's to the authority. His legacy is distributed and taken away by one who has no right in it. He is that person. That's Ja'far, his brother. His family is dispersed, and no one has the courage to learn about them or receive anything from them. When the name is mentioned, search for him will take place. Have fear of Allah and abstain from it. Al-Kulayni, may Allah grant his soul blessings, has said, a sheikh from our people narrated this to me. His name I have forgotten, that Abu Amir asked Ahmad bin Ishaq a similar question and received a similar answer. Behbudi, the sheikh that they like to use in order to discredit our hadith, what did he say about this hadith? If you check down in his so-called Sahih al-Kafi, he said Sahih. Allama al-Majlisi said Sahih wa sanaduhu allati mursal. Allama al-Majlisi said it is Sahih, but the chain is mursal. Shaykh al-Bahbudi, he said this is Sahih with no reservations. Okay, so how can the Imam say these were actually fabricated when he's actually including the hadith in his book, in his Sahih al-Kafi? I will give you another hadith, another reference to back up my claim. And of course, this will not be as long as that. This is another hadith. Al-Kafi, volume 1, book 4, chapter 70, tacit and explicit testimony as proof of Abu Abdullah Ja'far bin Muhammad as-Sadiq alayhi salam's divine authority over the people after Muhammad ibn Ali ibn al-Husayn alayhi salam. This hadith, it says, Ali ibn Ibrahim has narrated from his father, from Ibn Abi Umair, from Hisham ibn al-Muthanna, from Sadir al-Sayrafi, who has said that he heard Abu Ja'far, that's Imam al-Baqir, say the following: it is part of the success of a man to have a child who is similar to his father, physically, ethically, and in good character. I do not know anyone more similar to me physically, ethically, and in good character than this son of mine, Abu Abdullah alayhi salam. That يقول إن من سعادة الرجل أن يكون له الولد يعرف فيه شبه خلقه وخلقه وشمائله وإني لا أعرف من ابن هذا شبه خلقي وخلقي وشمائلي يعني أبا عبد الله. This is Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam making the will for Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq. What did Bahbudi say? Sahih. So if we are going to translate that statement by Bahbudi to mean they were all the will, the appointment, they were all fabrications, then how is he doing tasheeh of this hadith? I will give you one more. Another hadith. And this is not, again, it's not very long, a very small hadith, a very short hadith rather. This hadith is from Al-Kafi, Volume 1, Book 4, Chapter 76, Tacit. An explicit testimony as proof of the owner of the house's divine authority over the people, Abu Muhammad al-Hasan alayhi salam. Muhammad bin Yahya has narrated from Ahmad ibn Ishaq from Abu Hashim al-Ja'fari, who has said the following. I said to Abu Muhammad, that's Imam al-Askari alayhi salam, your grace causes shyness to me to ask you questions. May I ask you a question? He, the Imam, said, yes, you may ask. Abu Hashim said, my master, do you have a son? He's asking Imam al-Askari, do you have a son? Imam al-Askari said, yes, I do have a son. I then said, if anything will happen to you, where would I ask about my religion? Where would I ask him about my religion? He replied, ask him in Medina. If you check the grading, Bahbudi said this is sahih. So if Bahbudi is making tasheeh of this, I believe his statement has been taken out of context. His statement has been taken out of context by both the Nawasib, the Sunnis, the Zaydis, the Ismailis, all the ill wishers. They've taken his statement out of context, and also by the Shias, who are actually, driven maybe by emotions in order to defend their faith. They've misunderstood his statement. Otherwise, I don't find a problem with what actually Bahbudi is saying, if it's understood in the correct context. Okay? Then, he goes, this person, what's his name? Whatever his name is, Kamanpuri. He goes on to make his conclusion. I don't think I will go through, everything, because I believe we've answered everything. Said Professor Hussein also support the conclusion that the 12 have never attracted the attention of the Imamites until the late 3rd century. Yeah, so this is for the fact that the Hadith did not attract the attention of the masses of the Shias. This goes to show that this is not a fabrication by the Shia. We had nothing to do with its existence. And in the end of the day, divine providence played its role. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us see the truthfulness in our aqidah and made the knowledge of the unseen to practicalize or to materialize, and for the future prophecy that had been existing even in the books of our opponents to actually materialize and take place before our eyes. So this is actually evidence for us, not evidence against us, that this never attracted our attention. It's not like the Shias, we are already having like a scheme that we are planning this, or it was something that was staged. This statement that he's quoting before his conclusion, this actually shows that this was actually an innocent unveiling of the knowledge of the unseen that had existed, and Allah allowing it to materialize. He went on to say, he even points out that the Imamiyah in the first decades of the claimed occultation believed that the of Imam al-Askari, it doesn't matter what the people, this is a problem that our opponents do not understand. What the people believed, or what the people assumed, or what the people claimed, this is not of importance to our Aqidah. What is important to our Aqidah are the narrations which Ibn Qibba al-Razi had mentioned, and which even Sayyid Hussein al-Mudarrisi quoted in his book, Crisis and Consolidation. He quoted that, the hadith about the ghaiba had been prevalent even before the occurrence of the ghaiba. The Shias had, the knowledge of that. So what the people, normal people, lay people believed or assumed, this is of no consequence. What is of consequence are the statements of the Imams, the hadith that we can confidently attribute to the Imam and believe the Imams actually uttered this statement. These are important. He went on to say, according to him, it was most likely not until after 295 AH when it began to dawn on them that the situation was more unusual than what they had originally thought it to be, and that they wouldn't have a visible, apparent, and accessible Imam for the foreseeable future, that they began to seriously consider the question of the number of Imams. Well, this actually shows innocence. The Shias were innocent. Although many may have guessed, and some reports may have started to circulate before that date. Oh, good. So you're shooting yourself on the foot. The same thing with Bahbudi. The statement of Bahbudi said, shortly before the ghaiba, those narrations were circulating. Oh, good. So those who had the knowledge from the Imams, they were doing their job, even before the occultation. So this is actually evidence. He's presenting evidence against himself. So notwithstanding, he pinpoints the two prominent Shia traditionalists of the 4th century, Muhammad bin Yaqub and Ali bin Babawi, both of whom died in the late 3rd decade of that, as the first among those Imamite authors whose works have survived to put forward the idea of there being only 12 Imams from the progeny of the Prophet, whose Imamate one needs to believe in. Yeah, and we also showed that from Kitab al-Ghaiba, Shaykh al-Tusi quotes a Waqifite hadith from a Waqifite, not a Waqifite hadith, an Ismaili hadith from a Waqifite book, that Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq had spoken about 12 Imams. An Ismaili hadith in a Waqifite book that the Waqifites were using to do their own ta'wil or interpretation to imply that the Imams were 12, and according to their implication that the 7th was the Mahdi, and he will go into Ghaiba, and then he will return, and then after him there will be another 5. So even the Waqifa, they didn't believe in 7, they believe in 12, with a stoppage or a halt at the 7th until he goes into Ghaiba and comes back. So I believe we have proven our case, alhamdulillah, convincingly. I have, even though it has taken me about 3 hours, almost 3 hours, I have, convincingly, alhamdulillah, I have rubbished the article of this crook, this maghdubi alayhi, this person who has the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon him, who actually mistranslates, misrepresent, misinterpret our hadith. This is the person who calls himself a Sayyid. His flimsy, fragile arguments have been destroyed. Alhamdulillah, I have destroyed him in this 3 hours. This is the article he wrote. I pinned it again. I have convincingly destroyed him. And I believe whoever gave him title of PhD, if they actually go through this 3 hours exposition, they will be ashamed that they actually conferred this title upon such a crook, such an ignorant person. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. I wouldn't, continue in this room so that I will preserve the recording. Alhamdulillah, Jazakumullah khairan, especially those who followed from the beginning. I will end this room here and I will open a new room. If anyone wants to discuss anything, whether about this room, about anything I mentioned, you will be welcome. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.